Hey there, Emily here at the Movement Clinic, and today's myofascial release class is one of those nice little once-over quick fix classes where we're gonna hit all of the major people pleasers: neck, little shoulders, upper back, low back, hips, etc. So for today's class, you're gonna need one block and two myofascial release balls, or something like this and something like this. Whether you have these exact tools or not, get creative. Join me on your mat. I'll see you there. We start on our backs with our block. Set your balls off to the side. Keep them handy, somewhere where you can easily grab them from your back. And place the block on the medium level, so the long edge is parallel to the top edge of the mat. Lie on back and place your head on the block, knees bent, feet planted. Get those shoulder blades underneath you and down your back. And this bottom edge of the block is going to be positioned so that it's just under your skull, kind of right where the hard parts, the bottom hard part of the skull drops off into these kind of usually tense neck muscles, right? So you want this feeling like your neck is draping or waterfalling off of the block. You don't need to position yourself so that you're pressing your head down to get some sort of sensation. Just allow this part to kind of be more relaxing. You can bring your arms out to your sides, palms face up, or maybe hands on your belly to connect with your breath. Close your eyes for a moment. And take the next several breaths to slowly tune into the pressure of the back of your head on the block, where the back of your body is connected to the mat. Connect to any sensations in the body, perhaps without labeling. And tune into your breath. Notice where you're breathing and how you're breathing. Maybe the breath has a certain texture to it. And slowly bring your awareness to where that lower edge of the block is connecting to the base of the skull, or rather just below the base of the skull. And imagine that your nose in this central position is positioned at 12 o'clock. And slowly start to rock your nose side to side, moving it through 1, 2, and 3 o'clock. And then back towards 12 o'clock. And counterclockwise through 11, 10, and 9. Slowly back towards 12 o'clock. Starting to tune in to maybe where some of these little pressure points are, maybe points of tension. And slowly begin to move your nose back over towards 3 o'clock and pause. Start to move your nose slowly back towards 12 o'clock until you find a spot that you'd like to play with, and then pause there. You can stay here and just allow the pressure of the head and the neck draping off of the block to create a sensation of release, or start to draw tiny little 1-inch circles or 3 centimeter circles, depending on where you're joining me from in the sky with your nose. You might even draw W's or sign your name. Really, it's just moving in a way that provides for that little bit of self-massage and then release for tension. And go ahead and pause. Slowly start to move your nose back towards 12 o'clock. Find another spot that you might want to play with. Pause. Stillness or those little movements with your nose in the air, drawing whatever pattern you'd like. And go ahead and pause. Bring your nose back towards 12 o'clock. Take in any sensations across the right side of your neck. And slowly begin to roll your nose towards 9 o'clock. And bring it back towards 12 until you find a little spot of tension, a little place that needs release. Start to draw some patterns in the air with your nose. Very common to have referred sensation, or what they call referred pain, kind of up through the base of your skull, maybe even into that left eyebrow. So just know that that's really common. This is where a lot of tension, headaches come from. So you might have that sort of sensation. And go ahead and pause. Bring your nose back up a little bit more, finding that second spot to play with. And draw those patterns in the air with your nose. And go ahead and pause. Lift the nose back up towards 12 o'clock and maybe just rock side to side slowly, sort of between 11:30 and 12:30. Rocking across those muscles, those ropey muscles that lie on either side of your spinal column from the base of your skull all the way down, connecting to the hips. So these don't need to be big movements, but these muscles are often tight. Excellent. And go ahead and pause, relax. Roll onto one side or the other. Let's say right side, actually. I'll be more specific. You're going to take your block on this same level. We're going to do armpit block. So same level. And first we're working with this sort of back strap of the armpit where lats, triceps, all kinds of stuff gets tense up here and keeps us from enjoying full mobility of our shoulder joint. So we're going to first work with this back strap and then this front strap, or our pecs, major muscle of our pecs. So lie on your side, knees are going to be stacked and in line with your hips-ish. Okay, and now to work with this back strap, move the block slightly back towards the back of your arm and armpit. Rest your elbow in front of the block so that it can rest on the floor. Head can rest in your hand. And just position the block so that as you start to rock back slightly, you can feel that back strap pressing into the block as you gently add pressure with this rocking back. Do this several times, maybe even finding a place that you can rock back where the sensation feels useful and the intensity feels useful. And you can feel free to stay or Lift yourself up slightly and maybe move the block slightly closer towards your arm. Elbow will stay landed on the mat. Find those rocking sensations. Ooh, this is nice and intense for me. Obviously needed. And then maybe same as the first round, find a place that you can pause. And slowly take that lifted hand, plant it in front of your chest, release your hand from underneath your head, lift up off of the block and start to turn to face the block. You may need to readjust or reposition the block. As always, this is a practice of sort of curiosity and moving things around to work with your body and your physiology. So keep that in mind. So now we're working on this front strap, rolling our chest to face the mat. Plant your left hand down, right hand on top of the left, and rest your forehead on your hands as you just allow yourself to drape over the block. Women, avoid your sort of fatty breast tissue. We're closer up towards the armpit in the actual muscle. And now you are welcome to stay here or lift your forehead, float that right forearm off of the mat. Forearm is parallel to this front short edge of the mat, and just start to rock the forearm side to side, parallel to that short edge of the mat. This sort of sweeping motion, serrating the tissue, providing a lot more hydration, blood flow, fluidity, etc. And go ahead and pause. Relax your forehead back down. Drape over the block a little bit more. And now release, and we're going to switch sides. So go ahead and roll on your back for a moment. Take a few breaths on your back. Taking in any sensations from the right side of the body. Then switch. Take that block with you. Roll onto your left side. I'm going to show you from the back. And again, starting with this back strap of the left armpit. Knees stacked in line with your hips-ish, of course, always an ish. Work with your own body. Blocked far enough back in that armpit so that you can get that back strap as you slowly start to rock back, finding a spot that you can maybe stay with. An option is to stay, again, right here, or lift yourself up just enough so that you can move the block. Not much, but up or down, depending on where you started. And start to find some more rocking motions again. Maybe perhaps noticing if this side has some different sensations, different amount of tenderness. Maybe you're actually finding like nodes of tension and inflammation. And go ahead and pause. Be still. Excellent. Release that lifted or that top right hand onto the mat. Lift yourself up off of the block. Starting to adjust the block so that we can roll forward to catch the pec major or that front strap of the armpit. Right hand's down, left hand stacks on top. Soften your forehead down, relax, allow your body to just drape over the block. Breathing into it, softening around any resistance. And again, if you would like, float your forehead, float that left forearm, and again, making those sweeping motions parallel to that front edge of the mat. And go ahead and pause. Relax your forehead and your forearm back down. And go ahead and release yourself up off of the block. Keep the block at the top of your mat. Place it on the lowest, widest setting. We're going to use it as a pillow for now. And roll onto your back, head on that block. Knees bent, feet planted, arms out by your sides, to just take a moment and pause. Notice how the neck and shoulders feel now, chest. Good. And reach for both of the balls, okay? We're going to place them in between our shoulder blades. So how you want to get into this can depend on what's most comfortable for you. Sometimes the balls can roll around. So I like to actually place them down. And again, where you put them depends on your own body, but we want to start more towards the top of the shoulder blades, and then we're slowly going to roll down the back, down, 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 down. So actually, with that in mind, I'm going to start a little further down my mat, if my balls will stop rolling, and bring my block with me, okay? So hopefully these will stay together for me. I'm going to plant my forearms and kind of eyeball it, lie on back. And all I have to do is press into my feet, lift my hips, and adjust from there. So, and of course, adjust the block underneath my head as needed to be as supportive as I need it to be. And from here, soft bend in the elbows, open arms out wide, and then give yourself a nice little hug. You can alternate which arm wraps on top. Maybe coordinate the movements with your breath as you open and close. And then find a spot you want to stay with. I'm going to let my arms float open for 5 breaths. Beauty. Now, release your hands down by your sides, just enough so that you can pick up your hips and roll the balls a little further down the shoulder blades. Adjust your block if you need to. Mine's kind of already in position. So you don't need to move far. Shoulder blades aren't huge bones, right? So maybe an inch, a little more, a few centimeters. Open and close the arms again, giving yourself those loose hugs. Soft elbows. It's almost the same motion as doing back flies if you lift weights. And again, find a position that you want to stay with. I, for some reason, always love my arms being open. And by always, I think I just mean today, because Always is a relative term. It's super inaccurate. You might even notice those referred pain patterns, right? Where you feel the sensation sometimes surprisingly far away from where the balls actually are pressing in. I feel this in my jaw at the base of my ears. All right. Now we're going to travel further down the back. So lifting up our hips and rolling the balls. This time they're going to move away from the shoulder blades, but we're going to still be on those big ropey muscles on either side of the spine, just like we did at the base of our neck. Adjust the block, find a spot that feels good. Now here, you might even get rid of the block, okay? If it feels okay, you can place your hands, interlace your fingers behind your head, and just allow your head to rest back if that feels okay. So kind of a big extension, opening up the chest at the same time as you're pressing into these muscles. Whew. Notice where else you feel it. It's a fun little experiment. And slowly, with the help of the hands, if your head's resting in your hands, lift up the head, lift up the hips, and roll down maybe another inch or two. Ooh. With or without the block, you can always take it back if you want it back. And breathe. Let's find one more spot along these ropey muscles. Lift up your head, lift up your hips. Ooh, I can't even lift up all the way. It's quite intense for me. So I'm just gonna sort of shimmy and wiggle my way up. Take a few more breaths. Excellent. Now, if you've gotten rid of the block like I have, pick it up, bring it underneath your head. Slowly release the balls out from underneath you. Grab one in each hand. Oh, allow yourself to pause. Oh, man. I don't know about you, but those muscles are so intense for me to work out, whether it's with these or a foam roller. But the sense of relief is just immediate in my body. And I feel tingling all the way up at the base of my skull. God, this weird and wonderful body that we have. I just love it. Okay, so next we're going to be working in a spot that, as always, gets a couple of things. The major, glute major or glute max, and our external rotators. So if you want to kind of roll onto one side or the other and place your hand on the flat of your back, right above your tailbone, the sacrum. And if you sort of start to walk your fingers until they fall off the sacrum towards your outer hips, we fall into some usually tense, meaty spots. That's where we're going. Remember, when we do myofascial release work, we're not working on bone because that just hurts and it sucks. We are working right outside of the bone of the sacrum, right? And this is not only going to get external rotators, but again, glute max. So 2 for 1. So I'm going to come into this from my back, plant my feet, lift up my hips, place both balls on either side. Bring the inner edges of my feet to touch and just allow my knees to fall open in this sort of Supta Baddha Konasana. Oh, you might take one leg and start to lift the knee and open it out. As you do that, it places more pressure on the other side. You'll probably have already picked up on that. And then maybe switch. Allow the right leg to fall open. Maybe left knee lifts up and opens out. Lifts up, opens out. And then switch again. And once that right knee is lifted up towards the ceiling, pause, close your eyes, and breathe. And allow that added pressure on the left external rotators to just ease a little bit. Again, notice if you're clenching your left glute or either of them, if you're clenching your jaw, anything to resist the balls, and simply relax with each exhale. Soften a little bit more around that intensity. And go ahead and switch. Slowly release your right knee open. Lift the left knee up towards the ceiling. And breathe. And slowly allow that left knee to gently open out, resting on both hips. Slowly begin to toe heel the feet apart so that you can lift knees up and plant the soles of both feet. Press into both feet, lift hips, remove the balls out from underneath you. Pause. Maybe even let the legs go long. Close your eyes for a moment here. With the legs long, notice how your low back feels, any sensations side to side. Excellent. Now, only one ball, so get rid of one. Hopefully somewhere where it won't roll away from you. And we're gonna work on the outer glutes, the gluteus medius. So if you take your thumb and find the very top of your right bony hip point, and then take your middle finger and find the head of your femur or the top of your thigh bone that kind of actually comes all the way out here. Okay, and walk your fingers in to usually what is a quite tight and wonderful stabilizer, but also can add to low back pain or discomfort. We're working here. So how I like to work here is to take my ball, I've already pressed my thumb into where I want it, and take my ball and place it where my fingers or my thumb were just pressing in. All I'm gonna do is start to open my right leg out and start to roll over my hip to see what type of pressure I can manage, right? So sometimes that back leg will stay lifted for a little less pressure. Maybe I'll roll my hips to start to stack, maybe also my shoulders. So you gotta pick what works for you. And we're gonna be here for about 5 long, smooth breaths. Hyperventilating doesn't count. Good. Now, staying on the same side, we're gonna release off of the ball, roll onto your back, and I want you to find the front bony hip point on the right side and walk your fingers slightly out and down, like where your pocket would be. And then press in. You're probably gonna feel a pretty sensitive but very small muscle right here. Tensor fascia lata, or really just the pocket muscle. Place your ball there. Now you're gonna send that right leg straight, start to roll over with left knee bent until you can place a little pressure on that pocket muscle. Readjust as you need. I have to readjust a little bit. There we go. So might have to roll to get on top of the ball a little bit. And then I like to take this top leg and simply let it rest out in front of me as though I was sort of side sleeping. And take a moment and breathe here. This is a small muscle that doesn't get a lot of attention. It does a little of everything, so it's used a lot. And I often find that when I release it, it sends a really beautiful release down the outsides of my legs. I feel this deep in the back of my hip is my referred sensation. This goes to show you kind of where it all connects to and what can be released by releasing this sort of small external muscle. Okay, let's get off of this. So go ahead and roll onto your back, release, grab the ball, keep hold of it so that we can use it for the other side. Let your legs go long. Close your eyes. And notice how that right leg feels in comparison to the left. Maybe your butt feels more sort of flat or pancaked or released on the right side. Maybe the toes feel like they're rolling more open. And now let's do our final side. I'm gonna switch so that you're not staring at my backside. You only get that present once this class. So again, starting with the glute med, lie onto your back. Obviously that block is there as a pillow. Take your left thumb and place it on top of that bony hip crest, and then your fingers until you find that hard knob that's the top of the femur. Walk your fingers into the middle, press in, find a spot that's juicy and tight. Place your ball there. And again, start to roll over the left hip. Maybe right knee stays up and maybe just the weight of the leg is enough here. Maybe you start to stack hips, stack knees, maybe even start to stack shoulders. You again add as much weight using your own body weight along with gravity. And breathe when you find a spot that you can sit with. Soften around the resistance. Soften around the intensity. All right, let's go ahead and release. Again, staying on the same side, but finding that pocket muscle. So again, take your fingers onto that frontal bony hip point, walk them down and out slightly and press in where your pocket would be. And it's pretty easy to find that real little tender guy right there. Put your ball there to start. Send that left leg long, right leg stays bent. Start to roll over the ball. Adjust yourself as needed to find that spot. Stack shoulders. And again, find a comfortable position for that top right leg. Again, I like to send mine out in front for a little added weight. Find a comfortable position for your shoulders and arms so that everything can relax. Even relax your belly. Maybe even bring a smile to your face. Go ahead, roll on to the back, slowly release. Move that ball off to the side. You might keep the block underneath your head as you stretch the legs long. Shoulder blades come underneath you and down the back. Arms come out to your sides as you set up for Shavasana. Maybe remove the block if you don't feel like keeping it there. And take a moment and notice that left side, if it feels a little more symmetrical with the right now. Start to soften your gaze of awareness to encapsulate your entire body. As you soften the front of the body into the back of the body, even allow the eyes to relax back to the back of the sockets. Bringing your gaze just behind your eyes to that dark sea of consciousness. If your attention has wandered anywhere else other than here, come back. Maybe tune into the breath in the body. And start to deepen your breath. And gently wiggle toes and fingers. Maybe yawn your jaw open and closed. Stick out your tongue. With your next inhale, reach your arms overhead, stretch long. Bend your knees, plant your feet. Roll onto your favorite side and pause. And as you're ready, gently press your way to the seat. When you find your comfortable seat, bring your palms to meet at your heart and bow your head to your hands. In honor and gratitude and respect for this process, for this body, for one another, for our community, I bow deeply to you in honor.
and gratitude.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoy this. Let me know how you felt about it in the comments below, and enjoy the next practice right after this, or enjoy feeling juicy in your body for the rest of the day. I'll see you next time.